Okay, go ahead.
Good evening. I make a motion to open the May 28th special meeting of the town board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any comments? Anyone online?
No. You have to do the agenda first.
Oh, okay. I move to approve the May 28th agenda.
Second. Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now for public comment. And we had none, correct?
Nobody online, no?
Nobody here. Okay, well, sorry.
No.
Oh, are there any announcements? I do have an announcement. You think I would remember that, please? Okay. Juneteenth Jubilee, June 19th, Historic Huguenot Street. It's a collaboration with the Margaret Reed Lewis Center, Historic Huguenot Street, Elton Memorial Library. We invite everyone to come. If you want to take a flyer, post it somewhere, please do come celebrate freedom, Juneteenth, join your community, and have fun together. Okay. Any other announcements?
Our annual Pride Parade and Festival is this Saturday. Step Off begins at noon, I believe, at the middle school. And then there will be a festival all day at Hasbrook Park.
Saturday, June 1st.
Did I not say that? Saturday, June 1st.
And we have a Memorial Day parade in New Paltz. Step off is at 6 at the middle school and on the 30th, Thursday.
Right, the
Thursday,
traditional
the 30th.
Memorial Day.
Sorry to confuse anyone. They thought it was Monday.
Any other announcements? Okay, well, having none other, we're very pleased to have some candidates for supervisor here with us. We thank you for being with us. And so we're going to start by letting each of you have a 3-minute opening to tell us about yourself and why you, what you bring to the town board. And then we have some questions to follow. So just to be clear, should we have everybody just go through, do their piece, and then ask them questions? How do you all?
I like an intro and then
stay on that person, or intro all?
intro all is my opinion.
Okay.
What do you
Does
think?
that work for everyone?
What do you prefer? You want to all introduce yourselves, or would you like us to start with one person and stay there? Or
What works best for you? What would you prefer?
I think it's possibly clearer for the later replay if we start
Stay
with
on
one person and continue with that person.
I agree.
You,
I think we should
you all
stay on
feel
one.
that?
Otherwise, you're going to get across on the questions, and then
Yeah,
somebody may not get
yeah.
one,
So,
or might get too many.
Okay. You want to just go down the line?
you like to begin?
Oh, sure.
You can
I'm
start.
happy to begin. My name is Jane Schamberg. I've lived in New Paltz for 23 years. I'm a renter in the village, and I'm one of the ones with the 30% increase over the 3 years. It's been quite challenging. I'm also the president of the Ulster County Democratic Women, which is the oldest political women's club in the county. I've been president there for 4 years. I've spent 5 years on the New Paltz Town Planning Board. I was 2 years, I think in addition to that, I time, fudges. Amanda can tell. I was the alternate for 2 years. And then thanks to Julie's support, I was appointed to the planning board, and I still sit on the planning board, and we have our next meeting on Thursday. I have a very wide experience politically in the county. I've literally worked on every campaign since 2017. I invented New Paltz Petition Day. I've been an activist. I worked with Dave Clegg's campaign. I was the scheduler. And then we worked on the team for, working on the absentee and the affidavit ballots online. So it's been very varied. And I know a lot of people in the county and have made a lot of friendships. And so that's nice. I sit also because of the presidency of the Democratic Women on the Ulster County Democratic Committee Executive Board. And I was the only woman when I was working in management at the largest United States tabloid newspaper, which was also the sixth largest paper in the country. I was the managing editor for features, and I managed a staff of 80, which is about the size of the town staff. I did everything from budget. I had about a $20 million budget in today's dollars. I did HR. I did legal. Hi, Edgar. I did HR, legal, diversity. I
Sorry. Here's a chair.
Thank you, sorry.
That's okay. Chris? You want a nice?
Just find the chair.
Okay.
I did all the stuff, HR, legal, hiring, diversity. And in addition, I worked 9/11 on the front lines. So I'm very familiar with emergencies. I was also caught in 1997 Cambodia in a political coup where one side of the government overthrew the other, and there was a lot of shooting and a lot of tanks. So I am not someone who gets daunted by any kind of emergency. And I really seem to have a very good ability to navigate chaos. My priorities for the town, first of all, are better fiscal management and lower taxes. The residents deserve to know that as supervisor, I'm watching their money and that I watch it as closely as I would watch my own. And when we get into the questions, I'll explain why I stated that so strongly. Obviously, there's a focus on housing. I'm, again, somebody that has direct experience with that. I literally cannot move. Even if I want to move, I can't move. Because either I can't afford to move where I want to move, or I can't find a place to move in New Paltz. That would be equivalent. So even though my landlord is doing what they're doing, and it's not a bad situation, I understand particularly well about housing. And I've also looked carefully at both the sewer map and the zoning maps to see where the multifamily and variable density housing could go and where affordable housing could go. And that is an issue in the town. I feel need to focus very strongly on developing a green energy infrastructure plan. This is vital to the future of the community, in particular in respect with the schools, but also in respect of our really, crappy Central Hudson and what we're going to do about them. When I go away, my bill is $35 less when I'm not home for an entire month than it is when I'm home. So there is something wrong, and I continue to complain and work with the congressman's office on that. We have to liaise with the school board. I know it's a separate entity, but they are going to have enormous money issues next year. And those school taxes over which we don't have control are going to go up, and particularly in view of the bus situation where they're mandated by the state to go all electric on buses, but have no infrastructure for charging, and I don't know the situation. I would want to know whether they're capable, as they are now staffed, of doing all of the work that needs to be done with the state in terms of procuring money to pay for all this stuff.
Jane, I apologize. We didn't choose a timer person, and we did ask that your opening statement be 3 minutes.
Okay, but I was interrupted, so can I just finish my last 3 points, and then I'm really almost done.
Sure.
Okay. Also public engagement and communications. I know a lot about communications, optics, and I think we could do a better job in the town with that. Preparation for consolidation. I mean, that's a tricky subject, but we have to know that I personally believe it's coming. Not everybody does. And also making town government more open and accessible to public engagement and to the public. I think the town does a terrific job. I think the people working for the town do a job. And I think the citizens and the average residents have no clue. So that's my statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just staying with you for some questions. I know you talked about being good in terms of emergencies. And as you know, we do have time is of the essence here
Yes.
at the town, and we do have scheduled some negotiations tomorrow at 6:30. Is that something you're confident
PM.
that you could, 6:30 PM? not
Yes,
AM.
please not in the 6:30 a.m. I wouldn't be confident.
Okay. Are you confident that you'd be ready to conduct?
I would have no problem with that. I've done a lot of hiring and a lot of negotiation. When you work with, as a woman, with mostly men, you know, one woman and 20 men in a room, you're used to negotiating pretty well.
And can you tell us your understanding of the scope of the duties and authority of the supervisor?
The town supervisor has a statutory role as the town treasurer, which came as a shock to me. I didn't realize it was that strongly financial. And here I have New York Consolidated Laws, Chapter 52. There are about 16 items, mostly all focused on money, that are the duties of the supervisor. But in addition to presides of the meetings and the voting member of the board, administration and supervision of the town, conducting property affairs and the government of the town, enacting local laws, responsible for law enforcement and maintenance of peace and order, which was another new thing that was in the law that I didn't know, determining memberships of town boards and bodies, and no specified duty to communicate, but I think that the town supervisor should communicate with citizens regularly and be available to them on demand. I think anybody should be able to get an appointment with the town supervisor, and I would feel strongly about that.
What have you seen in other towns that you would like to see in New Paltz?
One main thing, I spend time in Scottsdale, Arizona, and they have a phenomenal recreation and senior center. It is gorgeous. It is the destination of one of the bus lines. They have, I think, hundreds of programs. And I think New Paltz needs a real community center. We need a place for kids to go after school. We need a place to gather. We need a central kind of hub in the town, which I don't think our community center fulfills because it's rented out and it has a lot of different activities. I think we need like a kind of a mothership in the town, and I would like to see that as a recreational center. 1 second.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
really. You continue. I don't want to interrupt.
Also, I was in Massachusetts, and they did a beautiful job with lights on the posts, and they were those inexpensive solar lights. And I think we've had complaints about the Christmas decorations. I mean, really serious complaints. So I think we could do a better job on that, but not as important as a recreation center. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. How, do you have ideas for how to pay for that?
That's always the question,
Yeah.
isn't it? I think that we could do,
Not the Christmas lights,
not the Christmas lights should be. The Christmas lights are
the
cheap.
holiday.
I think, I don't know how much and what the history, I'd have to look into the history of the municipality in terms of private financing, but I think the community, just as they stepped up to do the playground and help build the playground in the park, which was Bill's project, I think we could get, if we had the right people running this, I think we could get a lot of money from people. And then, of course, there are always grants, and there's always, our electeds in the Senate and in the Assembly hopefully could get money. There are all different ways to do it. Specifically, I can't tell you, but, if we wanted to do it, we'd find a way.
What would be your priorities in your first month in office,
Well,
if chosen?
first thing is putting out fires, which I don't mean in a negative way, but that when you come into a new place without, which I've done, without, a background and you don't know anyone, there's always things coming across the desk right away that are urgent. And so if you get yourself booked up, you can't deal with those, and they have to be always dealt with. Then, of course, you have to determine the priorities. You have to talk to the staff, and listen to them and let them lead you through, because they know their jobs here and they know what needs to be done. And you have to be available to them and have them come in, and also with the board. I mean, there's two teams here, and they both need to be really, we have to figure out how to make everything work with the new supervisor, whoever it is, and how we're going to all work together. And there are legal and financial issues, I'm sure, since that always is part of it. And then again, public communication, especially around town finances. So those would be my priorities for the first, explaining, I'm here, this is what I'm finding. Let us, rest assured, town is in good hands, it's in good shape, it's whatever it is. And, oh, this is a funny thing that happened. Humanize it. I mean, I think people want to feel connected. And I think when you talk to them and tell them what's going on, they thank you because they don't have time, they're working a lot of jobs, and they want to let you know what they think. And I mean, they live here too, and why is somebody stealing my mailbox, or what's with all kinds of issues.
So, Katie, are you timing, by the way? Are you starting?
I'm not timing these,
Not the questions.
but I will. I was just timing the 3-minute
Okay.
interviews, but I feel like we're probably around 15 minutes, but, Jane has done a good job. But I wanted to ask you what you understand the job title of controller, the town controller, with respect to what you were defining as the town treasurer role in the supervisor's office.
Well, the town controller has a very specific also definition in town law, and the town controller helps prepare the budget. I mean, the town controller actually does the work, even though the supervisor is the treasurer. I mean, the town controller is the beating heart of the financial
Okay, I just wanted
part
to
of
make
it.
sure you
There's
understood that. Okay.
no, they have to be like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's it. So I'm going to start a 3-minute timer as soon as you begin to speak.
All right.
So your 3 minutes. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I just have one other question.
Okay,
for you, about, do you have any ideas on how we can increase diversity among our workforce, among our, in terms of participation, as I am the only town board member now of color, and often in these spaces, the only one, just making sure that our participation and our workforce looks like our community, which is growing in diversity.
Diversity is good. I went to an mixed racial high school, and when I was in high school, I had an Asian boyfriend, and my best friend had an African American boyfriend, and we were practically expelled for interracial dating. My friend was parked in front of her own house with her boyfriend, and was taken down to police headquarters, to juvenile hall, because they were parked. So I learned very early that you see people, you don't see color. We are all the same. And I think that people have to learn to see people. And if you do that, you get the best people to put in the best job. And you have to have equity. It's just, the world is too diverse not to. And we had, I think, a couple years ago, the statistics were 12% African American, less Asian. I mean, there are some structural things. This is one of the whitest. It was 2 years ago when Delgado was running. I was working on his campaign. And this was one of the whitest counties in the state. So I hope that's changing. I would like that to change. My experience has always been really very much taking people as people and not, and I feel that is the proper anti-racial attitude to have. And if you welcome people, they will come into the community. I think we just have to make everybody welcome. It's ongoing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ready? We timing?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, start.
For me, it was a very intentional, deliberate thing to move to New Paltz about 12 years ago, because we were looking for an ideal place to get away from the hustle and bustle of our work life in New Jersey. And here we have a college town, a small college town in a rural environment with amazing recreational opportunities, with live music, art, lots of restaurants. And it was just the ideal place to be. So this is where we are, and this is where I hope to stay for the rest of my life. As far as wanting to be supervisor or wanting to be involved with the town board, community service is something I've done for many, many years, even before I came to New Paltz. It's something I believe in very strongly, and I was practically raised with it. I remember my mom, when I was a little kid, had me in a wagon while she went around getting petitions, and she was taking us door to door. So it's kind of gotten built into me. But municipal governance is something I've been interested in as well. So increasing diversity, the need for more housing and more affordable housing, the need for a way to attract businesses and industries that will bring good paying jobs to New Paltz. These are all things that are important and that I really want to work on. Being the supervisor is an opportunity to develop and implement policies and to assure fiscal responsibility and to provide leadership to make sure that New Paltz stays the place that we all love. But believe me, I know the job is not high-flown, aspirational, goody-goody stuff. It is a job. It is work. And it is hours and hours, all day, day in of tasks. So there's budgetary tasks, there's administrative tasks, there's personnel issues, there's all of that. And I have no illusions about that, but I'm ready to do that job. Why am I qualified? My professional experience and my community service. So in my professional life, I started off in manufacturing. I had hourly workers reporting directly to me. I moved up through the years and became middle management, dealing with high-level technical experts all over the globe, working on projects, one of which was the budget was $600 million, and that was Din's money. I don't know about that. It was a large project. I had to interact with management. I had to deal with contractors. I had to deal with due diligence of our suppliers. And
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay. Anyway, I've got all these things that I did, and I want to continue to be active, engaged in this community, regardless of your decision tonight. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to continue to work on keeping New Paltz the wonderful place that it is. So thanks for the opportunity to interview.
Thank you.
So again, knowing that we do have deadlines and businesses moving along as it does, are you ready to begin in contract negotiation starting 6:30 tomorrow
I am.
evening?
Don't
I think
come
it's
in the
fine.
morning. Actually, contracts were something that was part of my job in my professional life. I had to do contracts with vendors, with consultants, with lots of folks. Because that was a key part of the position that I had, our upper management felt that we needed expertise in that area. So we underwent negotiation skills training. It was multi-day workshops. We did simulations. We did role playing. So you also got to feel what it's like on both sides of the table. And in fact, in this particular case, because while the time I was on the town board, I have seen the proposed contracts. I've seen the red line versions that the town prepared. I was in on an executive session where it was discussed. And I also had a brief discussion with our previous supervisor about the latest discussions he had with the employees. So I'm up to speed as much as I think any of the board members are, but I also understand about benchmarking, and that's how you go out and get information about what's contemporary in your area. And I've been online doing some of that, getting some information. And what I would expect to do tomorrow is go in and ask for the most current contracts for these two positions so that we just see where we've been and where we're going. So yes.
And what is your understanding about the scope of the duties and the authority of the supervisor?
Okay, so I also went to Consolidated Law of New York, Chapter 62, Town Law, Article 3, Section 29, Powers and Duties of the Supervisor.
Yep.
And there are 16 of these puppies. Yes, so there's a lot of them. A lot of it has to do with finances. Wonky stuff. I love the background stuff. So a lot of it has to do with caring for the money. being accurate and complete accounts of the receipts and disbursement of money and as public records, assuring payment of the salaries of the loans, of the contractual expenses, and also the compensation of employees and officers. Interestingly, prosecute in the name of the town all penalties given by law to the town and to collect the monies of property due to the town. Okay. If the DOT asks, you have to provide a survey of the boundaries of the town. If they ask for it. So there were two ways that the fiscal report is done, and one is if there is controller, the controller is doing that, but the supervisor has responsibility for that as well. It's an annual reporting of the money that came in and the money that went out. And it seems to be it's a separate thing. It's of what you did, and the budget is what you plan to do. So those are two things. Leasing, selling, and conveying town property, and also executing grants, easements, or other rights of property owned by the town when so directed by the town board. This is one I really thought was interesting, Bill. Superintendent of Fires charged with the duty of preventing and extinguishing forest fires and preventing and extinguishing muck fires. Now, I don't know what that is, and I hope we never have one. Okay. You have to know.
Are everyday occurrences.
Are they really? Well, is it like why do the ducks have black feet?
Muck fires.
And why do the elephants have been stamping out the flaming ducks? Okay. If the DOT, you have to notify the DOT of any construction, repairs, or whatever on dams, also docks, or any impoundment of water, just in case we have it. Attending the annual meeting of the Board of Supervisors of the county and any other special meetings they may have. Designating a bookkeeper and a confidential secretary, and the town board sets the compensation for those. And then having and exercising any other power or duty given to you by law or the powers, duties, administration, supervision of town functions as provided by resolution of the town board. In addition to that, but we know the supervisor interacts routinely with the department heads, hopefully routinely with the mayor, with the superintendent of schools, with the president of the university, and with the county legislators and staff, appoints the deputy supervisor, together with the town board and controller, prepares the annual draft budget and issues a report, assures that the town board and clerk are dealing with vacancies in town positions that they're noticed and filled, with the town board negotiating contracts for personnel compensation and various services, assuring with the town board and the highway superintendent that maintenance and repairs of municipal buildings and grounds are dealt with, identifying, pursuing, and managing grants for town projects, and also handling union issues, grievances, and other personnel issues. So it's a wide ranging, it's a job. It's absolutely a job.
So you have 9.5 minutes left for the rest of the questions. So
Although if Jane had a certain amount more,
you're always welcome
Yeah.
to more time
I'm not sure how much.
if needed, if necessary.
What have you seen in other towns you would like to see in New Paltz?
Okay. So 3 things. 1 kind of a little bit away and 2 very close to home. In Alexandria, Virginia, which has a main street a lot like ours, lots of businesses and restaurants, lots of traffic, lots of parking, lots of issues. They have this shuttle that runs up and down. It's hop on, hop off. And it just seems like that might be something that we could find use for in New Paltz to help thin out traffic and parking issues. It would be really cool if once, a couple of times a day, it went out to Minnewaska, it went to, so it's just an idea, but something maybe to look into. The other 2 are very close to home. The village has a statement recognizing that we are using the land of indigenous peoples. And I don't know why the town doesn't have something similar, but I would like to expand it to also include the contribution of enslaved and free Africans who helped to establish the culture and the built environment here in New Paltz. And I've already contacted the Margaret Lewis Center, but I think that's something the board should start looking at drafting. And then the other thing is the village has 10% affordable housing. Why doesn't the town? And maybe it should be 12 or 15, but it's something again that we should be looking into.
And what would your priorities be for month one?
Okay, so day one is to go in and meet with the assistant to the supervisor and with our finance officer to find out what are the immediate things that need to be dealt with that have, fallen through the cracks in the last couple of days, just to make sure we take care of that. And then, of course, attend to the contracts. And then the rest of the week, which is a short week, just go around and talk to the department heads, shake hands, and just say, hey, we're all on the same page here. Let's right this ship and get things back to business as usual and, moving forward. After that, I'd really like to, we've got a couple, we've been awarded some grants for solar projects that are just treading water right now. Need to get back on top of those and start some movement so we don't lose them. They don't expire before we spend the money. I hear there's a leak in the roof of the police building. Maybe that's something that we could look into with our building and grounds people as to what's going on there, what needs to be fixed. What else did I have? I think I had, forgive me if I don't remember. Working on that statement, getting the town webpage and committee web pages updated, because sometimes when I go on and look for stuff, I see things are a little bit out of date. Look at bringing a proposal to the board about reducing the amount of town lawn areas we have so that there's less maintenance and expense there. Asking for the village for a copy of the draft contract with LaBerge so that our town board can participate in the consolidation process in a timely manner. That's moving along on the village side. We need to get up to speed on that. And just, again, meeting with each department head to hear more about what they're doing, if there's any issues or challenges they're facing, if there's any wishes or desires they have for their department or for the town in general. I would like to establish and announce an open door policy and time for staff and residents. And I would also get out in the community, most immediately in the Memorial Day Parade and in the Pride Parade and Festival this weekend. I've already signed up for that, and just be visible and available for interaction.
Well, last question.
Okay.
About advancing diversity in the town.
Well, yeah, that's really important, and I think it's not waiting for people to show up when we post openings or we have jobs. I think it's being more available and involved in all the different parts of our community, getting out there and just being part of what's going on so that everyone feels welcome here. Everyone feels like they can participate. It's not like, oh, we can't go there. Oh, that's just not right. We have to really make it clear that we are, we need to work on that very much. We absolutely need to work on our hiring with our staff, with our participation on our boards and our volunteer committees. And there's just got to be, we get out there and work with the communities, work with the churches, work with the different groups out there.
Any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, are you ready for the reset?
Cancel, reset. Ready when you are.
All yours.
Right. So my name is Dylan Moscoso. I am a 5th year going on 6th-year resident of New Paltz. I'm originally from Lower Manhattan. I came up here because I blindly applied to SUNY New Paltz because someone a year above me in my theater group applied and went up here. I went up for Accepted Students Day and I kind of just fell in love with the place. Like looking over at the ridge and like breathing fresh air for the first time has been something I have not taken for granted, and it has been an absolute life changer for me. I spent 5 years at New Paltz. I did a major in communications, specifically public relations as a concentration. I additionally did a major in environmental studies, which is a little more about the social science and the management aspects of the environment instead of the actual science and math, which I'm working right now on an online master's degree in. Alongside that, I did a minor in journalism, and I worked for both of the publications for the local school paper. The most recent one was an internship I created by myself to be an environmental beat reporter, and I focused on developments in New Paltz, such as a pit and a Lalo group, and everything else from like helping frogs cross the street to figuring out how to get fresh food without access to a car. Past that, I've been an active community member since I graduated and had more time to actually participate. I've joined the Climate Smart Group for New Paltz, a joint one between the village and the town. I'm additionally on the Affordable Housing Board for the village, and I am a member of the Pedestrian Bicycle Committee as of this year. Due to current events, that's kind of been a very big initiative for mine. I also volunteer as part of the community advisory group for the Hudson River in terms of General Electric and their cleanup of PCBs. Past that, I work with Millions of Butterflies in the village to maintain the free food fridge, additionally procure events, and I've been helping them. We recently acquired a grant, and I also do most of the research for them.
1 minute left, but
Thank
you
you.
can always go longer.
Of course. I sent in my application just hoping that I could have kind of a more viable, like, exact way to help the town and village. And regardless of the events that happen here tonight, I plan to continue doing that. And I don't have any concern about how the town is going to go because of the people who are next to me, the people who are across the board, and everyone here. I think there are plenty of eyes on what's going on, and I really hope that this is going to kind of increase the engagement of community participation in local politics, because it's important, but it's very difficult to do for reasons that are nobody's fault. So thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. I look forward to answering your questions.
Thanks. Thank you. So first question is the burning one and the deadlines that we have. So would you be ready, confident, available to start negotiations tomorrow evening at 6:30?
Yes. So in terms of availability, I have a part-time job, and I've let them know if they don't give me health insurance, they don't have me all the time, and I might jump out. But past that, I've worked in the personnel department as well as the budget department on the county level. I helped maintain and create the grants division for the budget department. In personnel, I got to the point where they had me filing like alphabetically in physical files, and by the end of my temporary appointment, they asked me to stay longer and train their trainees. So I have a very well-rounded understanding of contracts, personnels from contracts to RPCs. I've read the CSEA contracts for the city and for the county because I had a lot of downtime, because I am weird like that, but I have a very strong research capability, and when information is available and accessible, I'm able to come up to the task very quickly.
Good, thank you. And what is your understanding of the scope, duties, authority of the supervisor?
All right. So on paper, they are the chief financial officer. They're supposed to assume the role of the chair of the town board, and they're meant to appoint people for an office to maintain their responsibilities. On top of that, being a voting member, they have the responsibility to call special meetings between the board meetings if necessary, and if two board members request for a meeting, they are required to also send one out with 2 days' notice. Past that, if there's no financial officer assigned, they're known as the treasurer of the town, maintaining transactions, and they report both to the town board and the comptroller, and I believe there's an annual state report. I have been working the last 3 days, so I haven't been able to do the most research, but I definitely tried to do as much as I could, but I understand this is not comprehensive at all, and I will not be doing the job based off of my notes alone. Past that, let's see. For obviously labor contracts and working not just in terms of negotiations, but on a day-to-day basis with the administrative and all staff below them to ensure that everyone has what they need, everything's running as necessary, and everything from the outside looks like everything's just going day to day and like a perfect machine. It's very much not, but it's our job to kind of keep things running and have it so it's minimal kind of disruption for the people who involved. In reality, it's the individual is supposed to look after the town. It's supposed to be the face of the town in terms of public contracts, in terms of stakeholders like private companies, nonprofits. They're supposed to keep up public service in terms of infrastructure, public works, and community participation, which I think should definitely be more of an involved position for the supervisor. Past that, I mean, it's really just balancing the maintenance of the town and being an open conduit for outwards and inward communication with the people in New Paltz and the surrounding
Is there anything that you've seen in other towns that you would like to see in New Paltz?
So, as a recent college grad, I am not very well traveled. Despite that, I've seen, even on our local level, a lot of really good ideas I hope that the town and village consider. The first one I visited a couple years ago in Port Washington on Long Island. When I was there, it was only the first program, but doing the research, I found out they have an additional program. So the first part is centralized municipal parking. It's not easy and it would take a lot of work, but I think that's the only real solution to increasing tourism while decreasing traffic flow and congestion in the town and village. I've been actively working with advocates, people on the county level, and everyone in between to figure out what grants are available for us and anything we could do to make Main Street more of a place to be instead of a place to go somewhere from, because it's kind of been a little heartbreaking. And like every time I have to wait 2 minutes to cross the street, it just kind of bums me out a little bit more. But besides that, they have a bicycle locker program, which I think is awesome. Because at like the train points, people can fully commute there. They can take their bike right around, or if they want to go to like a restaurant, they'll walk around the town. There's room for their bicycle, like their helmet, anything else they have with them. I know the county's been working with a lot of like bike tourism and trying to work with Metro North and stuff. I think that'd be a really good initiative to get people on this side of the Hudson, because it's viable right now to get a bicycle from the Poughkeepsie train station to New Paltz, but are you gonna really do that trip and then just lock it up next to like the bus station? Like, it's not someone planning out and doing a trip is gonna get to that point and be like, there's nowhere safe for me to bring my bike, so it's out the window. Alongside that, over in Kingston, New York, there were, I believe, two primary things. One is the T-Route, which helps individuals who are receiving assistance from DSS and in transitionary periods to get to the places they need. This could be DSS, it could be transitory housing or bedding, more like. The next part is connected to this, the collaboration that Kingston has done with RUPCO continuously in developing properties. The most recent one where they're converting a hotel into supportive housing, I think is something that we need to look at immediately. The fact that Ulster County doesn't have any government-run homeless shelters and we use hotels kind of as like a piece-and-piece solution is not going to work. And I think it's an absolute disservice to everybody, and primarily the people who are being most impacted and that they're most vulnerable. Alongside that, just working with community organizations to reduce food waste and get it to those who need it. I'm kind of biased because I try to help with the free food fridge, but I think that there's a lot of food around here in the farms, especially. The Ulster Court does a very good job with the Glean team, but we don't really see much of that. So I'd really like to work with community organizations and get accessible, constant, fresh food for everybody, and not a place you have to drive to.
And what would your priorities be in the first month of office?
So first of all, taking care of the contract negotiations, speaking with the supervisor and the comptroller, the highway supervisor. And once having that figured out, looking at, to complete that, I would look at the contracts available, the work that's been done by the town already, and with my experience in civil service, I would try to just kind of help people do what they're trying to do. I wouldn't be making big decisions if things need to be signed off at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So I kind of just stick to what everyone thinks is good and figure out how to get that done. And I think that's kind of the job of the supervisor. It shouldn't be just like we should do A, B, and C. It should be listening to everybody within the town, with living in the town or working in the town, and figuring out what's the solution, how are we going to work together to get this done. And it's not, at the end of the day, probably going to be anything that I imagined. I might have one or two things that I can contribute, but it's not supposed to be like a supervisor's project. It's supposed to be the town, and supervisors meant to bring everyone together and coordinate collaboration between departments, because without somebody having departments directly work together consistently, there isn't really collaboration otherwise. If there's a project, then people will work together, but otherwise, especially on like the county and city level, it's just like the siloing of departments and everything is something we have to extremely avoid on this level, especially in terms of funding, because we're not going to get any more money and we're just going to have to do more. And we have the privilege and responsibility to do more in terms of equity and accessibility. But past that, I would be scheduling out all of the required meetings for me to attend alongside any of the committee and board meetings. I would basically want to be wherever I was welcome, and I would be an asset to the point where I could probably be a little annoying for people. I'd like to be overly available, and just because I don't think that I can be an advocate for the committees or the boards without actively being there. I think it's a disservice to have the committees and boards be an advocate to me to advocate for them. I think that's putting a little too much work on people in an unpaid position. So I would like to take that responsibility and figure out how to get the work done, but I have to be in the room to have that happen. Additionally, I would want to work on office hours. Sorry. I would want to work on office hours, but specifically provide access in the village. I would like to do this by partnering with local businesses like the bakery or anywhere that really has like open space or like a quiet corner. And I would like to rent out a couple of tables and have people twice a week come and talk, because people live in the town and they are like walk into the village for work. They might be students, but our current situation with the infrastructure of the town, especially in terms of administration, is not accessible to the average person, especially if it's a student or a low-income individual. It's just, we need to make the town more accessible, and I would immediately be working to figure out how to make myself accessible physically very much. Past that, I would get up to speed on what the town situation is in terms of grants. And like I did over the summer, I would do a full inventory of all the grants we are eligible for. This wouldn't just include grants for this fiscal year, but additionally the next fiscal year, because the only realistic way for us to get at least one of those grants is to be working on multiple of them, especially because we don't have a designated grant writer. It's going to be a very gradual process, but if we keep everything on track, it's a process. But if we actually time it out and figure out what we need to do and give government time to work, which is very difficult, I think we could get a lot done. And I think grant funding is going to be one of the biggest things that's going to help us with consolidation, that's going to help us with accessibility and safe streets, and it's going to help us with overall equity.
Glad you ended on equity. The last question is about any ideas you might have on advancing diversity.
Absolutely. So I very luckily got to come out of the Climate Corps internship. It was a real experience in how government functions on a county level, and I appreciated the work that goes in. But in terms of what it was an internship, and at the end of the summer it ended. And I think if we're going to try to get people who are coming from disadvantaged communities, we not just have to provide paid internships, but also fellowships and paths to full-time employment. Because the amount of opportunities that people miss out on because they don't have a car, because they don't have housing, and half of their paycheck is meant to be a housing stipend where they're just like given a room. We have to work with the county to provide employment opportunities and have a permanent path to employment and increasing somebody's own knowledge and allowing them to expand in their career path. Because right now we can have as many youth employment programs as we have, but if they end at the end of the summer, it's just giving this individual a little more money to work with, which is good, but it's not fixing the problem. And every single summer, as long as they're eligible, they may have to come back. So I think working on the county, the state, and the local level, especially if some of the initiatives like Justice 40, using everything that the state and everyone above us has to comply with, because change, people are going to fight tooth and nail just because things are the way they are. So using the rules against them, I found, is the biggest thing, and I plan to do that very well. Well, I plan to do my best.
We do have a contract with the grant writing consultant.
Okay.
So we do have a couple of projects in the pipeline.
There's no like grant writer on the town.
No,
level.
we just have a contract. If you can write a grant so that we can hire a grant writer, that would be, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want the bill? Almost there.
Ready.
Okay, I'm William Wheeler Murray. I go by Bill Murray, as you're referring to me as. I grew up in the city of Binghamton in the 60s, 70s, a very tumultuous time in our nation's history. My father was a workman's compensation referee, represented people with injuries, and he later transitioned into becoming a public defender in the city of Binghamton and eventually became county attorney. So my background has been pretty much, I grew up in the government family. was well aware of what's going on in our community as well as nationally. I've lived in New Paltz for 20 years. I've raised 3 kids, all three are about to graduate. Well, one's about to graduate from New Paltz High. They're in college now. We moved here, my wife and I moved here from the city. I was taken by New Paltz's similarity to Binghamton as being a university town, a college town, which is a very vibrant thing for me. As a kid, I would go to classes when I was a young man, and hang out in the student union, concerts and whatnot. So I wanted my children to sort of experience the same thing, as well as the beauty that we have here in New Paltz. That seems to be something worth, something that's eroding across our planet. I've been I'm in my second term as a village trustee. This is my 6th year. I've served on any number of, as liaison in a number of committees. I'm currently the liaison for the village planning board. I started work, I was a member of the planning board for a couple of years before I became a trustee. I'm 8 years Ulster County Planning Board member. I attend as frequently as I can, which I view that as a window to the world of what's happening in our communities. It tells me a lot about what is going on, not just inside New Paltz, but outside in the county. During this time, I was a very early advocate of the short-term rental law, which we passed in the village. I wrote it and created our own fire sprinkler law, which is required for large additions and new construction to protect egress routes for people to get out. That's an enormous thing. We're one of only a handful of communities that have that, maybe 5 in the state. I'm very good
30 seconds.
Oh.
Feel free to go longer if you need to. Okay.
I worked with Senator Jen Metzger to increase the retirement program for volunteer firefighters. When I joined the fire department, it was $700 a year for people who've given years and years and years of time to our community. We got a law passed unanimously in both the House and the Senate to raise it to $1,200, and we're now pushing for $2,100 across the state. I formed. I was part of the New Paltz COVID response team. I took a leadership role in that, which was getting all our stakeholders from Woodland Pond to law enforcement to SUNY to talk about how to deal with COVID and informing our constituents what the story was during the COVID period. Maybe 2 years now, I negotiated a program with the CDC, Centers for Disease Control, to working in conjunction with Syracuse University to provide us with a weekly COVID testing at our wastewater treatment plant. You might like to know that in New Paltz right now, I got the report at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. Our rate in New Paltz is increasing in COVID, as well as it's higher than the New York State average at this time. You wouldn't know it. It is. Speaking of, that's how it started with me. And I'll sort of wrap up that, before mentioned Hasbrook Park, that was a negotiation coordination of a scale that was very surprising. 800 volunteers. 2 weeks before we were to build, we had 20 volunteers. And my colleague, Michelle Zip, trustee with me, we buckled down, and I remember having conversations with people. They're saying we need 800 people, and you know what? We got 800 people, and we built that playground in 2 weeks' time, 2.5 weeks' time. It's a part of mine. So, anyhow, that's the general feel. I'm sure you know more about me than I do, perhaps, but yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
time is of the essence.
Yes.
Contract negotiations
Yes.
tomorrow,
Yes.
6:30. Are you ready, prepared, feel confident?
I'm ready at 6:30 a.m. I get up early, and I in my career, in my professional career, I work with arts and education. Done that for 40 years. If you've ever worked with an arts organization, you know that it's all about negotiating, being communicative, being open-minded, being able to direct conversation, being able to take a step back, need be. And, yeah, I think I have the skill set to do that. And, I look forward to that. That would be a wonderful thing to do with my first out the gate.
And please share with us your understanding of the duties and authority of the supervisor. Sorry for repetition.
I will add to what's been discussed. Of course, we know supervisors. Let's compare it to being chairperson of a corporation. Sits at the top and is responsible for basically the finances. If finances go south, fish things up ahead, right? So this is a very important position. There are a number of other things that the supervisor does, but one of the things not mentioned is the supervisor actually sets the tone for the community and marshals through projects and should be the lead communicator for the town. And my background is certainly within communications. I was a journalism major. I was a crime and sports reporter. I've worked with news organizations, editors, domestically and internationally. I know quite well how to get an idea across. So yeah, I if you want, I can. I don't want to go to everyone, what everyone else said, but it's the presiding officer of the community. So.
What have you seen in other towns you'd like to see in New Paltz?
Glad you asked that question. Just recently, I took a New York State course offered by the state of New York in conjunction with the fire department, which I'm a member of. It's called Community Risk Reduction. It's something that's happening. That's moved northward from the south, where you gather all stakeholders, your law enforcement, your rescue, your fire department, your campus representatives, your town representatives, and you analyze in a very deliberate way where are residents most at risk for crossing the sidewalk, riding their bike down the road, overcrowding in a home, overcrowding in a rental unit. All these things come together, and you sort of address, you look for priorities of what needs to be addressed most in the town. And I think I've sort of been doing that as a village trustee by recognizing that after being a firefighter, being in so many rental units and seeing the conditions in which tenants live in, it was like fire sprinklers. And fortunately, it took about a year and a half to do that. So that type of thinking is what I think would be great to bring to this community. And I think we have the players here who would be willing to do so. But the other thing I wanted to bring that I saw in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I went to school in Milwaukee, is volunteers are the backbone of our communities. And I see a real need of bringing twice a year leaders from our boards, our commissions, our committees to meet at the beginning of the year to talk about goals and goals for what we want to accomplish during the year. And sort of lay out a plan, work with those volunteers, and have periodic reports, not an onerous thing, but then come back at the end of the year, bring all these people together and say, what worked and what didn't. Let's address that. I mean, this we're lost if we don't have volunteers. For example, our fire department saves us tens of thousands of dollars every year. You know, nationally, it's billions of dollars a year. So we have to work with agencies that, like Ulster Corps would be a great agency, working with the county, and try to coordinate an effort to have real goals. Because often what happens is it becomes very nebulous what people want to do, what they want to achieve. If you had hardened goals, you could say, oh, we hit this milestone, it's fabulous. Oh, no, we couldn't get there. So that's something I've seen work. In fact, there's a great organization in Milwaukee that give awards to people. You recognize your volunteers, you recognize the time that they put into what they're doing. And I think I would like to try both of those things. You know, I mean, that's what I see. Plus, there's lots of other stuff I would like to do, but for the same time.
How about your priorities for month one?
Month one. Well, first of all, I think I would like to meet with department heads in our community, in our town staff, and talk with them about what their needs are, what they're seeing happening, what's transpired in the last 6 weeks or so, to be brought up to date. That would be my top priority. What I would like to do is then bring in each of our chairs of our committees and our boards and talk to them, maybe bring in board members as well and see, much like what I've spoken about, seeing what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what are their hurdles. For example, the planning board, sometimes the town planning board is burdened by things like DEX reviews and that sort of thing. Maybe there's something in code that needs to be adjusted. So I would like to do that. I would like to meet with the auditor. I would like to meet with our town attorney to discuss their perspective on how the town is operating. So that would be sort of my first month, and then of course I'll take care of things like, is the IMA signed yet? I don't know if that's been signed yet. The IMA with the village for consolidation. I think there's a couple other things I was really interested in. Congratulations, Chris, the pool opened on time. And the letter of intent for pro housing. Did that go in?
The what?
There was a letter of intent for the pro housing communities letter. Are you aware of that? You can talk. Yeah, that's sort of thing.
And do you have any ideas on how we can advance diversity in the town?
I do, yes. All communities, everyone needs to feel as though they belong to a community. I think that's a little bit more than welcoming. Belonging is you're part of the process. You're part of what's happening. You're part of the progress that happens in the community. I attended a workshop, a 3-day workshop called Undoing Racism with a couple of gentlemen here, in fact. I was the only village official there, and I think Neil Battez and Tara Fitzpatrick with the police commission attended. It was wonderful. It was the most surprising thing. Because here you're in a room with a group of people who deal with all sorts of issues. And the moderator is terrific. Conversation was open. I can't say anything more greater about it, but that sort of thing could be done in the community, working maybe with a library, working with the organization. And it's about feeling you have a stake in things. If you don't feel like you have a stake, you don't feel like you belong, then it's not going to advance. You're not going to advance how people think about each other. So that's broadly how I would handle that.
Any other questions? Other questions? Good. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you to all the candidates for joining us.
Really, really wonderful responses.
For your
to all of our
patience.
questions.
There's no doubt we're in good
And we
hands,
feel for you.
no matter what we do.
You have a hard decision.
We do.
Is there any way we can help you?
You have, thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, you
That's
really
good.
have.
That's good. All right. Then we've done our job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We can reverse that, or,
Want to do executive session?
well, is there any, thank you all so
Thank
much.
you.
Really, boy, are we lucky. Boy, are we lucky. What a great community of people. You don't have to leave. We
Nice to
can
meet
go
you
into
too.
another room for executive session, but you don't have to stay. Is there another room we can get into? Neil?
I don't. If his is open, sure. I don't know what's open. His is, Neil's is open?
Well, I don't know.
It's a trailer.
Okay.
Well, then,
I don't think there's any controversy about it. It's open?
Oh, it's open? So we're going in there? Okay, she needs to come back so I can make it.
Julie? 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 We just need you to approve the motion to go into executive session. So,
I move that we go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
I get it. Can't deny that.
couldn't waste the time. So,
We wouldn't want you to do that.
but
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I motion to nominate Amanda Grotto to serve as supervisor until the end of 2024.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Well, for discussion, you,
Right, aye. Yes, I'm saying,
Okay.
In favor.
We have a second, we have all ayes.
I,
right,
Okay. Thank you.
right.
It was a very difficult decision. We had lots of discussion. We really appreciate everyone coming and interviewing with us and your patience with us. And we now have a opening on the town board, so we are
Right.
asking for letters of interest, hopefully before our next meeting, which will be June 6th.
And you can send letters of interest for that town council position to assistant@townofnewpaltz.org.
That's right. Assistant.
What is the term for that? How long for?
Well, if we can get that position filled,
Yeah.
it would be until the end of this year. But if we can get a slate to the Democratic Committee, that person might be on the ballot along with the new supervisor in November, and then would serve until the end of 2025.
although we're not sure who will be on the ballot for the, because that's up to the Democratic Committee for the supervisor position.
Oh,
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
Right.
but they will, so it would be a 1 year or until
This
the
is
end
a
of the
1
year
year, yes.
for,
What we have
for
done
the town
tonight,
board. Are we sure of that? They're not filling out Amanda's term?
well, Amanda is going to have to resign from the line.
Mine was only till the end of the year.
Oh, was,
Yeah, 'cause
okay.
it was
That's it.
Dan.
That's remember.
No, then I had to run again.
Run again,
Anyway,
that's right.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm on the
Right.
ballot right now for that board position. Oh, yeah.
Maybe they can.
Oh, they'll figure it out. Ashley knows.
Yes, Ashley's over there. Okay.
I just really want to sincerely thank you, Phil and Dylan, and we lost Dean, I guess.
Yeah.
But that,
Good, thanks.
what wonderful things you had to say. I took copious notes. I'm really excited to circle back perhaps with you guys too, because there were wonderful ideas and the commitment that you showed. It's really important.
We
I think
took
our
notes.
town is in very good hands, regardless of, our choice was, and it was difficult.
And you're both very active already, so we know that we'll be crossing
Yeah.
paths.
You guys aren't
And-
losing
I
it.
learned a lot about you. Yeah, that's great. I know a lot about you. Good work.
It's such a strong field, and you all had such wonderful answers to our questions, and like we have all these notes from all of your suggestions about what you'd like to see next, so we will be calling you.
Please annoy us as much
Okay,
as possible.
I love it.
okay,
It's on
thanks.
record, so good.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. I make a motion to approve start date for Tyler Peace on May 29th.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
And he is starting as police sergeant.
Yes. Tomorrow, May 29th.
Yes.
Congratulations, Tyler.
Congratulations, Tyler Peace. So we are tabling the discussion for the compensation for Deputy Supervisor Alex Bear. We will address that compensation on July 6th.
June.
Sorry, June 6th. June 6th. We are awaiting a legal opinion from the Association of Towns. We are, of course, committed to resolving and acknowledging the service. And I make a motion to approve Pride Parade permit contingent upon insurance and related fees received by the town clerk.
Second,
All in favor?
aye. I don't think we have any other business.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Do you have anything else for us?
I don't.
No. Jean?
Anyone?
No?
Keep you posts, the council position immediately.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Motion to adjourn?
I know where we
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
everybody
you.
for coming.
Thank you.
Have a
Good night.
Appreciate you all.
Okay, so I need everyone's signature.